Welcome to Project Mother's Day Bouquet, where I'm going to show you all the cool things I made out of a Mother's Day bouquet. Stick around. So the pieces you're about to see made from this Mother's Day bouquet are actually my first ever resin art type pieces. So these guys were actually made before I had any molds or any clue about how resin actually really worked. I had to kind of get very creative in the type of molds that I did use. So a lot of the pieces were made from just random stuff that I had at my disposal, like this bowl covered in cling wrap, which I learned very quickly is not a good mold. Other things like this ice cube tray, this chocolate silicone mold, this other chocolate silicone mold. Those were actually really good, by the way. But then I had to kind of even get more creative with making other molds. So I did a lot of using packing tape on just cardboard and then sealing it up. So you can see I didn't have a cube mold, so this was one that I made. It is honestly just cardboard with packing tape and then sealed all the way around with masking tape or painter's tape. I've used Macca's coffee frappe lid to make a piece. This I had to get creative. So because I started these pieces long before I realized I wanted to start documenting all of the stuff that I am doing with resin, I don't have any photos of the original bouquet, but let's have a look at what I actually made. My first ever deep pour piece was this little guy, and I actually used this with the cling wrap, and which is how I figured out that that wasn't the best way to do things. So the cling wrap actually stuck to the resin really well, and I had to kind of scrape it out from in between all of these little folds. But once I did a flood coat on top of that, it actually gave it this really cool kind of crystal-like effect, which looked awesome. The next thing I made was this, another kind of paperweight situation. I had to use a coffee frappe cap for this one because, again, I didn't have the mold, but it used all these smaller little flowers that were part of that bouquet. This was the first time I also experimented with glitter. So this was poured in two parts. The first part was to get all of the flowers in place, and then the second part was a big pour with glitter. And you can see it's reasonably thick layer of glitter there. After that piece, I had some leftover resin and of course some leftover flowers. So I made a whole bunch of these little magnets using those flowers and that heart-shaped chocolate mold. And we ended up making about 4 of these and turned them into fridge magnets. We also did the same thing with the other chocolate mold and turned these into magnets as well. So we had 4 of these also. I turned this little guy into a keyring and popped again some gold backing because I had excess left over from this guy when I did his backing. The last piece I worked on from that bouquet was this one here. I've done a whole video about this one. It's the rose and quartz cube. This rose was part of that Mother's Day bouquet, as were the leaves attached to said rose. We still have a couple more flowers left from that bouquet, which I can't wait to cast, and I hope you can join me. I'll see you in the next one. We still have a couple, no, a whole Mother's Day bouquet and dude, a Mother's Day bouquet. Shut up. Hi, welcome to